right. Hey, everybody. It is Becky Pearson with Pivot Point of View, and I am here with my co-host Destry Millsap. And tonight we have some amazing guests. We're very excited to have Ashlee Tien and Cydnee Ryder with us. And we've gotten to know them just kind of here since the first of the year. And these two ladies are killing it on their Pivot Point programs, and so we wanted to talk to them about that. They have a phenomenal breeding program in North Central Kansas, and we wanted to feature that. So welcome to the podcast, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's dive right in. So tell us a little bit about your breeding program and I guess kind of your background. How'd you get into horses?
All right. Well, I am from Iowa. I was an Iowa farm girl. My grandmother is who's to blame for my love of horses. I got my first horse, I want to say I was probably 12. And from there, it snowballed. I've loved them forever. I've went to college at Lamar Community College. From there, I went into an internship with T-Cross Ranch by Colorado Springs. And I've worked for quite a few vets here and there. The internship at T-Cross was an equine repro internship. So I actually went to college to learn how to train horses. It took me a hot minute to decide that was not for me. I was not gonna, number one, be very good at it, or number two, tough enough. So my instructors found me a repro position and I loved it. I craved that side of the horse world. After my internship, I worked for a few vets off and on, helped with a few cutting horse facilities. That's kind of where my first true foot in the door was with the cutters. That was in Colorado. And then in 2010, we moved out here to Kansas. I actually got a job working for Tien quarter horses, and a few short years later, I married my husband, my boss. So
good for you.
It's actually been a dream come true, happily ever after, right, Sid?
Yeah. Right. No, seriously.
So they've always had horses out here. My father-in-law started this program in the late 70s or early 70s, two-eyed sweet jack, and they had eyes on gold. They had a horse named Bimzan Redbuck. Most of the programs based around the Pitzer bloodlines. But two-eyed sweet jack's the horse that put us on the map. We raise about 20 to 30 babies a year. In the last 4 years, we've started playing a little bit with semen freezing, embryo transfers. We decided I could not find anybody local, like local Nebraska, Kansas, even Iowa. Colorado State was the only place I could find that we could freeze a stallion 4 years ago. And we had a couple old studs that we wanted to make sure we could preserve before they were gone. And it was just so hard to find somebody. Over spring break, we found a course in Texas. I want to say it was your freshman spring break. And I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go by myself. So I took my high schooler.
Yeah. We went to Jacksboro, Texas.
Yep.
And learn how to freeze semen. Every freshman in high school wants to go learn how to freeze semen.
Right.
Of course.
And babysit their mom.
It was the greatest experience. They had alligator on the menu and everything.
Yeah. So we went down to learn that. And when we got there, the lady was flushing an embryo on a mare. And I was fascinated. And I called my husband that night and I said, I'm going to learn how to flush embryos.
She did. This is true.
And he laughed at me.
He did.
He laughed at me. So guess what I did? I learned how to flush embryos.
And it wasn't like a bad laugh, but she definitely took it as a challenge.
Yeah. So that's where we are today. We are pretty busy from about right now through July. We'll flush a few mares probably through October and freeze those embryos to put back in, early in the spring the next year.
So how many studs do you guys stand right now currently?
Currently, we're gonna have 5, I think. They're not all here yet.
Okay.
So we have our own stallion, Two-Eyed Sweet Buck, and we have Sizzling Hot Boons and Joe's Main Show. Those are our 3 personal team quarter horse stallions. And then we have 2-time world champion, probably a shiner. He's been with us for a couple of years. He's owned by Rolling Bee Performance Horses and Mike Van Egdom. We're so blessed to have that horse here. He's done so much for us. Mike also has a stud named Shoujo Jack. He is by Show Me a Song Joe's. He'll be here this year. And then we're standing a stud named Opus Catalina for Ostranders, Box O quarter horses out of Gordon, Nebraska. He's a very neat WR. This cat's smart son. He's won a pile in the NRCHA, and he's going to be a really cool outcross for us. So I guess that's 6. Whoops.
I better get another stall ready.
Right. I don't count very well, obviously.
Well, it had to go over to your other hand.
Right. Shush.
So I was really impressed when I talked to you guys about your program, because I believe you were like, if somebody comes and they say, well, I want a really quiet horse that I can go do blah, blah, blah on, you kind of have a line that is really good for that.
Yep.
And then you also were like, okay, if somebody really wants this juicy, high-powered performance horse, like, what line to direct them towards there. And
yeah.
So I could really tell that you had a lot of passion for what you do, and you really know your horse's personalities, what they throw, what kind of traits that they do. So give us a little insight into that. Like, let's say I was a trail rider and I just wanted kind of or I wanted to go check my pastures on the ranch. I want a really nice horse that I can enjoy. I don't have to go, be able to. Yeah. I don't have to go super fast. Like,
Right.
What would you recommend? What line in your breeding program would you recommend?
Okay.
Who wants a weapon?
Right. So we have a little bit of everything. So the Sweet Buck horse, he is going to be hands down our prettiest. He is very user friendly. He's got a ton of color to offer. To me, he is what 95% of the horse world needs. He is gentle, he is pretty, he is user friendly. And there are no surprises. Like, it's the same every time. We can cross him about any way and we're gonna get the same thing. That 95% of the horse world needs that horse. Only 5% know that they need that horse, if that makes sense. So his pretty and all the color helps along with that, because then maybe a few more people will want one like that. Our Hot Boons horse, he is definitely very fast-footed, but along with them fast feet comes a little faster minded. So if you're looking for a high-end performance horse, something that's got a lot of cow, that's a little bit more the direction we'll go. We generally really try, like, our group of people are used to the Pitzer bloodlines, which are solid, gentle, quiet, user friendly. So I always try to really tell people, if they want to breed to the Hot Boons, you got to pay attention here. These are a different breed per se. As far as like probably a shiner, we had his first babies last year. Shiner himself is like a Labrador retriever in a horse body. He is gentle. And
he's a puppy dog.
Yes. If he could sit on your lap, he would.
Yes.
So he's really a lot of fun, but his first babies just hit the ground in 2024. So I can't tell you exactly what they're going to be like, but we have a pretty good idea. We halter break everything before we sell them. So we have an idea how they handle, that kind of pressure. They took it with flying colors. Like, they're kind of the middle ground between the sweet buck and the hot boons.
Yeah.
They're a little probably quicker footed than the sweet buck, but they're not quite as stingy as the hot boons. And the Opus Catalina horse, I think he is going to be, yet again, I have never rode any of his offspring, so I have a hard time telling you what they're going to exactly be like, but they're going to add a lot of cow to the program.
Yeah.
So a lot of draw, a lot of cow, stuff like that.
And we have one mare bred to him this year, so we'll have a foal hitting the ground by him to where we can get a better idea of what his foals are gonna act like.
Cool. And most of what you guys do is sell them as weanlings, right? You don't typically keep them around.
We sell a lot. Over half of them will sell as weanlings. We generally will take our top handful and we haul them up to Pitzers as babies. And we sell, we got to have that PR. We have to stay in the spotlight. So you have to hit a few sales here and there.
Yeah.
But so we'll do 4 or 5 there. And then the rest of the babies will probably take half of what's left and sell them online as weanlings. And then we will keep a couple of the really nice ones back to take up as yearlings for like the spring sale. So this coming spring Pitzer sale in April, we have 3 weanling stud colts. We're extremely excited about them. We have them in the fitting shed, and actually we call it my she shed. That's where we fit the yearlings for the sales. It's heated. We're getting the hair off of them, getting them gentle, and they're 3 stud colts. We have one by Sizzling Hot Boons, we have one by Two Eyed Sweet Buck, and we have one by Probably Shiner that we have on the sale. And then we'll end up with 1 or 2 maybe that make it to 2 or 3 years old, but we generally don't keep many around unless they're keeper mares. Then, we'll try to keep 1 or 2 to go back into the brood mare band. Generally, they don't make it that long. Somebody decides they need them worse than I do.
Yeah. Yep. And getting them into good hands, you want to see those horses get into good hands. And so, if the right person comes along, wants them, and that's going to be a good place for them to go so that they can shine and show your program off, then by all means, that'd be great.
Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people usually they like to look at the studs and think that the studs are the powerhouse, but we always like to keep back a couple fillies because our mare power is our foundation, and we can take our mare power and go anywhere because when it comes to breeding them, it's always a 2-way street.
Yeah, and we're solid on the mare power. We love our studs, don't get me wrong, but we actually just bought a really nice mare, DT Summer Shine. She's huge in the rope horse industry. She's multiple-time world champion. She's the type of mare that will take us to the next level, and we're pretty excited about that.
It's very exciting. Yeah. And people are looking at the mare power more now, like
I agree.
Probably didn't, when I was younger, you just, you kind of looked at the stud. If you even did that, I mean, sometimes it was just
get a baby.
We're just gonna, get a baby, or we're just gonna ride whatever we got, and now people, I think, really realize when you get that great mare crossed on a great stud, it is just it's a game changer for sure.
And with the embryo transfer, we have so many options. Like, why not level up? Why not have multiples out of your best mare instead of, 1 out of each average mare out there? Let's let those average mares carry the babies. And let's have the best of the best producing, the mares that have proven themselves, the mares that there's no question. Let's recreate more of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys have any running bred mares that you cross these studs on?
We don't. And that is the one thing that we're missing. But the problem is I know nothing about the running part at all. Like, I am not very knowledgeable there. And I do have a few people looking and keeping an eye out for the mare. Like, if we could find one really good running bred mare, I'd love to cross each one of my studs onto one really good running bred mare. But yet again, I don't want just any running bred mare. I want a mare that's proven that she can produce what the rope horse industry needs.
Yeah, she's pretty picky when it comes to stuff like that.
As she should be.
Thanks. Yeah, you hear that? It's okay. I can be.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it.
Uh-huh.
You just make things a little difficult sometimes.
I'm not difficult. That's
Eh,
rude.
Agree to disagree.
You're rude.
Okay, well let's dive into, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about what kind of brought us together, and you know, I thank our great friend Jimmy Joe for introducing us, and Emma, my daughter Emma, kind of introduced us to Cydnee. And so yeah, so you reached out after you had talked to Jimmy Joe because you were having you had a physical therapy order, I guess.
Correct.
And so let's talk about that process a little bit, if you want to kind of
All right.
into what you thought of that.
So I had injured an ankle. I had stepped off my back step and injured my ankle. And it was like before Thanksgiving or something. And actually, I'd done the same thing twice because apparently I'm not a very fast learner. So I did the same thing twice, stepped off the step, rolled my ankle, and it just never quit. The swelling never went away. And it was a little sore and a little unstable, but I sprained my ankle. I just thought it, you know, in time it'll get better. And I want to say it was like almost 8 weeks later, I had went to the doctor for like a sinus infection, and I was like, hey, well, I'm here, will you look at this and see what you think? And she was like, oh girl, she goes, you just need to call to New West and make an appointment. She goes, because if it's broke, and we were going to do x-rays, she goes, if it's broke, you got to go to New West because you've been on it for 8 weeks. She goes, and if it's not broke, you need to go to New West because, well, it doesn't look right.
There's something wrong.
So I made an appointment up there. The doctor was really short. The appointment was really fast, and he pretty much just said, have physical therapy. If it still hurts after 6 or 8 weeks of physical therapy, come back. So I was stressing. I talked to Jimmy Joe, CJ Garland with Prairie Quarter Horses. She also had told me about Becky. She says, calls me on my way home. She's like, I got a lady you got to talk to. And so I was whining and complaining to everybody about how am I going to go to physical therapy? I don't want to go to physical therapy 3 days. It was like 3 days a week. Who has time for that? Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm out in the middle of nowhere. It's not like it's an hour to town. It's 20 minutes to town. But that just, it interrupts the whole day. 3 days a week. And the girls told me, they were like, just Jimmy, 100%. CJ was like, just talk to Becky, call Becky. And I was very skeptical because I was like, how is Becky going to help me with I don't understand, but whatever. So I called Becky, and within, I want to say a week, were here at my house and spent 2.5, almost 3 hours with me.
Don't tell people that. They're all going to think they're going to get 2.5, 3 hours.
Well, we did a lot of talking.
A lot there.
A lot of talking. So, okay, she spent a little bit of time with me, and we everything from like evaluated the way my motion was, my flexibility. She worked on my ankle. Everything from like insoles in my shoes to alignment from the floor to the top of my head, like went over it all. My favorite part, absolute favorite part of it all, was you walked me through every single exercise. Like you didn't just give me a sheet and say, here, this is what I want you to do. You made sure that I understood how it should feel when I did it correctly.
It was black and white.
Yes, exactly. I don't do gray. Like black and white's my only. And it was simple. And so this cool little app that you ended up turning over to me, if I had any question, it's all right there. But I also knew, because you walked me through it hands on, I felt it, with you right here. So not only did you save me from going in there in town 3 days a week and having to shuffle my life around, we're getting ready to go into breeding season. We're going to be hitting it hard here before long. Like we'll start at daylight, and sometimes my husband's dragging me in the house at 11 o'clock at night. Like I'm good with staying in the barn. It's what I like. So I don't have time to go to town. And to be honest, if I wouldn't have met Becky, I would have said, it'll be fine. It's just a sprain. And I'd have just went on. Now, don't get me wrong. I've missed some workouts. I have, especially when I hurt my back, but I am way stronger. I'm going to say next to no instability on that ankle now. And I'm still 2 or 3 weeks from being completed. I feel stronger. I never really favored it, I don't think, but I protected it. And I don't feel like I'm protecting it anymore. Some of the exercises are pretty easy now. Some of them I still have to work at, especially them one-legged squats. But I don't know if those will ever be easy. No, but it saved me. I wouldn't. And my biggest thing with going to the doctor to have that ankle looked at was I didn't want in 20 years to look back and think, man, if I would have took care of that, I'd have more mobility than I have now. So that was my biggest push. But in all honesty, had I not met you and went through your program, I maybe would have made it a week in town and been like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, not to sell PT programs short, but I think it's pretty much the norm for people to dedicate 3 days a week for 4 to 6 weeks to going into therapy, and like we realize that people don't have that kind of time. A lot of people don't have that kind of time to dedicate, and so that's what I love about being able to. I feel like it's more like we're consultants,
right?
That
yeah.
Let's teach you what you need to do to get better. You're an adult. If you don't want to do your stuff, I don't need to babysit you. I don't need to hold your hand. I'll teach you what you need to do and help guide you if that isn't, I mean, we don't always get it 100% right away, and guide you if there's hiccups that come up along the way. But, I want to teach you how to help yourself instead of you feeling like you always have to come to me to get better. And so and that's why I wanted to touch on this, because there's so many people out there that they need to be taking care of the things that take care of them instead of necessarily just dropping everything. And sometimes you get a great PT in town. Sometimes you don't. And so
and like if I had a job that I really didn't like, I would be in there 3 days a week, no problem. Like find me a reason to not go to work, right? But no, like I don't have the time to be away from the farm or the ranch. Or if my husband's at our South Ranch, somebody has to be here right now checking heifers, keeping an eye on stuff. And it's hard enough to make the appointments that we have to this time of year between calving, breeding mares, and all that stuff, that truly I would have just said, I'll be fine.
I honestly have a great way to put this into perspective.
Uh-oh.
So a couple years ago, she's in Rapid City because my dad and I finally talked her into going and doing something for her. She's at the Rapid City to the stock show, and they end up going to Mount Rushmore, her and some friends. And I'm in school, and she tells me the morning she leaves, hey, I have a Petri dish in the incubator. I'm going to FaceTime you and we're going to doctor it. And I'm like, sounds great. I get home that night. She calls me. I don't remember. I think she was at Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
We are on FaceTime, and I am taking the little medicine circles out of their capsules and laying them in a 5 symbol area on the petri dish. Then I put it back.
The Sensi discs.
Yes.
Yeah, we had cultured a mare and it
Mhm.
had grown and
Yes.
it was a positive culture. So I needed her to replate the culture, the bacteria onto a new plate, and then we had to put Sensi discs on it to decide what antibiotic it was susceptible to.
Yes. And so after I put it back in, and then at like 11 o'clock at night, I went back down there, FaceTimed her again,
The next day,
and we went over
Yep.
what it reacted to. And
Uh-huh.
so that is a great way that even she's in Rapid City and
Still a slave driver, apparently.
Yes.
more or less.
Dedication. We'll call it dedication, right?
If I love it, everybody must love it, right? Like everybody must want to do it.
Well, in
Well,
Cydnee, you're a good sport for doing that.
I enjoy it. It's never been pushed on me or anything like that. It's just kind of been something I've craved alongside.
Ashlee, you talk about the drive time. I mean, first of all, if you got to stop doing what you're doing to drive to town, you're right. I mean, it'll kill a morning, it'll kill an afternoon. You lose momentum what you're doing, and sometimes you don't have the choice. If there's something going on at the ranch, or there's a horse that gets sick or hurt, and needs your attention, there's no way that you're going to that appointment anyway. Period. And then you got to think about the diesel or gas driving into town and back, and then half your morning or half your afternoon is just shot, and 2 times a week. I mean, like that's an entire day at that point. So, and what you guys doing is how hard you and all the ranchers go. It just is not logistically make sense to do those things, and a lot of them do end up just not taking care of their bodies for that reason.
Yep. Yeah, I had told Becky earlier, like a week after we started this deal, I was like, I don't think you understand how much money you're saving me. Like, you're saving me time, you're saving me effort, you're saving me fuel, you're saving me all the unnecessarily things I'm going to buy when I'm in town because I'm in town. So I'm going to stop and get a coffee, and then I'm going to, like, seriously, you're saving me more money than, and the affordability of the program. Like, I was blown away. I was absolutely shocked.
Well, and it's not only that, but also look at it in the fact that when she would have been in physical therapy in town is right now during calving season.
Yep.
And my dad isn't always here. I'm not always here. I'm in
Right.
Hayes at school. My dad's at the rush place. We have heifers calving here, and we can't afford to let a heifer
not with
sit
what
there
they're
and
worth right now.
sit there and struggle. And so even like you're saving our calves and other stuff like that, it's just the timing in everything.
Yeah. When I told you the total and you said, "Is that all?" I'm like, dang it, I should have.
Yeah, I was like, so was that just for the app, or was that just for the evaluation, or like, are you going to bill me? Like, where's the rest? When's the rest of it coming? Because
half now, half later.
Yeah, because seriously, if I'd have went to town, that'd have been one visit out of my 3 that week. Like, and then we got to multiply that by 6 to 8 weeks. Like, and another thing that I loved about it, and it goes back on what you were talking about, Dustry, is I don't miss any of the time in the barn, because when I get up in the morning, I can do my stuff while the coffee's brewing. Like, I can do my part of my exercises and my stretches, or even if I can't get through all of it, like my ankle workout is like some stretching and then some like stability stuff. So I can do part of it. It's not something that I feel like I have to knock out all at once. As long as I get through it, I'm happy. So if I have to do half of it in the morning and half of it right before bed, that's not taken out of my day. And daylight hours are money.
They're golden.
Yes. It's push time.
Can't be burning daylight.
Yes. That's what my grandpa always said. We're burning daylight. Let's go. And I'm like, hey, I understand that now. I never used to get it when I was little.
Well, Cydnee, let's talk about you. So I left from your mom's place there, and then Destry and I met in Hayes, and we got to evaluate you and some of your teammates.
Yeah.
And let's talk about your experience with the whole deal.
I honestly I thoroughly enjoyed it. So when I was in kind of start from the beginning, when I was in 8th grade, I kind of had knee problems in my left knee, and we just shrugged it off. I went to the trainer and he told me I could have a deal called Hoff's fat pad syndrome and said there's no way to fix it, so we shrugged it off. It wasn't until I was a sophomore in high school
I was the mean mom. I
that
was the mom that said, you're fine, quit whining, play harder, suck it up.
well, and I honestly, I didn't want to miss out on anything at the same time, so I was fine by it. But we ended up going to the doctor when I was a sophomore, and he looked at it. He didn't take an MRI or anything, but looked at it and told me I had plica syndrome, which is just it. They're both something you're born with. And so I got a knee injection and went on with life. And then my junior, senior year that summer, I truly went to the doctor and he took an MRI and it turned out I had both. I had Hoff's fat pad and plica. And he said that at that point, because you have a chance to grow out of it, and he said at that point, it's been bothering me since 8th grade. It wasn't going to go anywhere. So we scheduled surgery right after my basketball season because I was going to get through it either way.
It was her senior year.
Yeah. And so after that, I sat at home for a week and it was terrible.
Drove me crazy.
I hated it. Yeah, at one point she was outside and I called her bawling, telling her she needed to come in the house.
I thought she fell down the stairs.
And she got it.
It was bad. I come running to the house in the wintertime in the snow, bundled up like the abominable snowman. I get to the house like I'm about to have a heart attack, and she's sitting at the table bawling.
I just felt worthless, like I couldn't do anything.
I can't help you guys scoop the bunks, and I can't feed the horses. And I'm like, you're not bleeding. You're seriously not bleeding? And she's like, no, why would I be bleeding? And I'm like, if you ever do it. I just did more cardio in that 32 seconds to get to the house. She was sweating.
She got here fast. I was kind of impressed.
I don't run unless I'm being chased, and I ran that day. It was
the survival. Running is a survival skill on the ranch.
Especially if there's snakes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh, definitely run.
Yeah. But I had also picked up team roping in that amount of time, and so I got myself a really good horse. I love him. He's perfect in every way, shape, and form. And I got, after my surgery, I didn't realize it, but I kind of went dead weight on my left leg. And so my horse started ducking. And it was a really bad problem because if my horse ducks, then I wash out my steer and my healer can't get a good shot. And because I have to make sure there's 5 heartbeats going on in one run, and you're trying to do it as fast as possible while all 5 heartbeats are racing. And I have to do my part to make sure that my healer can do their part. I have set them up for success. So I really couldn't figure out for a while why it wasn't working until I had my coach, my assistant coach, step on my horse, because I kind of thought it was my horse, but when he stepped on my horse was perfect. When he ran him, he was perfect. So at that point, I knew it was me. I knew it was my leg. So I had heard about you through Emma and Coach Guy. We were going to try and do something at the 888, and it didn't work for me. And he told me, just wait. We've got another one coming up. And I was like, okay, yes, sir. And so.
Would she talk to me like that?
Oh, quit. And so we held off for a little bit, and then he approached us about it at the meeting before the semester about this. And I was like, right here, put me in, coach. because at this point I had a mental block on it of I was constantly trying to protect it. I would go into a run back in the box telling myself, this run, I'm using my left leg. And then we'd turn and face and be done. And it had gone out the window when we took the first step. So that was a huge struggle. But then, just like she said, when we had our meeting, it was super relaxed. It was very laid back, which is very nice, honestly, for especially me as a college kid, because you're always trying to make impressions, but when it's laid back and relaxed and you're allowed to be who you are, it makes things so much more comfortable, and it gives you that in-person experience rather than the professionalism where you can't feel like you can approach them because they're superior to you. And so that was very nice. Is just we were laughing and giggling, and it was fun. You were showing us stuff, and at some points I thought you were talking in tongues because I don't understand what you guys say sometimes, but I trusted it.
Good.
Supposed to understand all of it.
Yeah. Well, at one point I was walking to her and away from her, and she just rattled off something, and he looked at her, nodded, and wrote it down, and I was like, what's that mean?
That means they're doing their job. You just pay your own attention.
And they were just staring at me, and I'm like, okay. But no, and it was perfect. And just like you said, Mom, you guys broke it down and kind of showed us how to do some of the harder things and told us that if it's easier, this is how you can, if it becomes easy, this is how you can make it a little bit harder. And I mean, it's kind of hard to fail when you set somebody up for success like that. And I'm about with her. I haven't hit all my workouts because life is kind of stepped in at some points. Like there was one weekend we got stuck in Kearney.
It was truly on accident.
It was so
nobody believes us, but it was truly on accident. It was fun. We had a really good time.
Oh, it was fantastic.
But it was on accident.
Yeah. And so just little things like that. But yeah, I had been doing the workouts, and we got to our first practice, and my horse every time, I had not rode him since our last practice in November. I gave him the whole winter off. And every time our first run, he's usually a little fresh and will take extra advantage of me in that corner. And I wasn't even thinking about it. Because it was my first time back too. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to go have fun. This is going to be a good warm up for the rest of the season. I wasn't even thinking about it. And my left leg was there, and he didn't duck, and we stayed up in the corner, and I was like, oh, that was cool. Yeah. This is, heck, I can still do this.
Yeah.
And
so booster.
Yeah. So like the mental block, the physicality of it's building. It like I saw progress instantly when I sat back on my horse. So it was nice. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
And as a mom, I love it because she is so the desire. Of course, when our kids struggle, we struggle. Like, how can we fix it? How can we help? What can we do? But watching her have that confidence, all you have to do is get behind them then. And so when she has all the tools she needs, all you have to do is encourage. Hey, let's go work out. Hey, let's do. And we do some of our workouts together. Mine are not near as bad as hers until it comes to core. Core is terrible. I'm getting better, but yeah. But it gives us something to do together that's fun-ish sometimes. Spudding's not always fun, but
I think it's fine. Like, I don't mind her, but I don't know that she really cares for me to be down there with her, because half the time she's in the middle of something and I'm like, don't weekend, keep going.
I'm like, I can't. Okay, I hate you.
And I'm like, I know you do. Just keep going. Don't weaken.
And then I'm supposed to be the motivational one, and she's the one being the motivator. And I'm like, I don't like this.
Oh, and I'm kind of an aggressive motivator too, because I'm just kind of like, don't do it. You don't want to know what happens if you weaken. And she doesn't. She hasn't had
I
to
don't
make
wanna
me
know.
show her.
I don't want to
So
know.
That's what's great about working out with other people is I know that if I have somebody there watching me or working out with me, it's immediate competition, and I want
Uh-huh.
I don't want to be the weakest link in that work.
Right.
So
oh yeah.
automatically going harder than I would if, just subconsciously than if I was with myself. And
Right.
I'm so glad that you've already seen some success, both of you, because like being at the top of your game, there's nothing better. And then also being able to be the best for your horse and everything else, being able to do what you love and just like not have to think about being in pain or man, I don't know if my leg's gonna hold me here. I don't know if my ankle's gonna be ready for this
Yeah.
move or whatever. It's so nice to not have to be able to think about that and have
Right.
to get through it.
Right.
100%.
Becky, you had said earlier that um like your program, you can just kind of set us up to do what we do and then we're on our own. I do not agree with that. Like, you've not left me on my own at all, and that is one of my favorite parts of this deal. So not only did you go through everything with me that day here, and then you walked me through the app and showed me how to use that app, but 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I hurt my back. I mean, I don't know what I did. Well, I do know what I did. I was chopping ice and I hurt my back. And it set me into about 3 days of on the couch. And I used the handy dandy little device she gave me for my ankle on my back. And it worked great. And it was awesome. And I loved it. And I think that helped me tremendously. But I messaged my little app and said, hey, I hurt my back. I can't do some of this stuff without feeling like I'm going to go backwards with my back. Becky responds immediately and says, okay, where does it hurt? What did you do? Okay, try this, this, and this. Take this out, add this. And okay. So when you say you kind of give you the program and then just leave us be to do our thing, not at all. And if I leave a comment on there of, oh, this is sore or that's sore, or I either get a comment back like pretty darn snappy that says, try this instead, or keep pushing, that's great, keep trying, go harder. I don't feel like just because we are virtual on this deal or I'm working with an app that I don't have support. I have like probably more support through you than I would have if I went to town. Because by the time I get to town and tell them, oh man, yeah, I was sore, but I can't really remember, how's that going to help me?
Yeah. And that's what I love about the app is and I try to take people through all the way through to like once you say finish your workout and you can leave that feedback. And that's what I love telling people. If you're doing this at 2 o'clock in the morning and something is bothering you, like type me a message because you need to tell me right then and there
Right.
this is the issue. And then that way, as soon as it comes up, it gives me a notification that Ashlee logged a workout and left you feedback. And so then I'm like, okay, I got to get on there and look to see what's going on. And so, yeah, I agree. Like it does give you more real time, much better interface. And we can manage things much better that way. And yeah, it's been a really big game changer, I think, for us to be able to manage this
It's
with
insane.
people.
I love it.
And that goes back to the people thing that I was talking about.
Mhm.
Again, the fact that you are willing to commit to us. Yes, it takes a lot of self-commitment for us to go through and do these workouts as we're supposed to. And that really just kind of comes down to how bad do you really want it. But the fact that, like you said, you're not going to hold our hand, but if we want the support,
It's
you
there.
give the support. If we have a problem, you have an answer. It's knowing that both sides are human and being able to work through humanity to get to an end goal.
And everybody's on the same team.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes your answer might be an emoji that looks like this.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I'm not sure. Let's try.
Well, I am certain that some of my comments at the end of some of them workouts, you're probably like, oh, worry about your luck. Or there's a lot of whining going on. But
I love it.
As long as we're entertained.
Back to the approachability, we're not going to get in our feelings if you tell us that, hey, this exercise doesn't feel right, or man, this day 2 workout isn't really working for me. Like, we want to get it to where you're being successful in each workout, with each exercise having its purpose to get you to your goal. And so your feedback is very important to us because we can't feel it for you. So yeah, we truly appreciate that feedback and hope that y'all feel comfortable coming to us with whatever issue you may be having.
Oh yeah.
I can tell you that in town, I mean, I've went to PT a couple of times for some different stuff, back issues, stuff like that. And you guys are way more approachable and easy to talk to and explain how I feel than some people that make you feel like you're not trying hard enough, or I'm not tough enough, or I'm not in shape enough, or did you really do your workouts? Like, you don't make me feel like I'm subpar, so it's easier for us to be open. Does that make sense? Like, the personalities that you guys have brought to the table here are very welcoming and warm, and that, like, you guys are doing right what you need to do.
Oh yeah.
You're where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Well, we sure appreciate the feedback, and this is why we do what we do. We love being able to help people that share the same passions that we do, the Western lifestyle, the horses, the cows, all of that. And hopefully that helps us be able to relate to you guys more too, and have it helps us be more approachable and real people. We're not this clinical white jacket, you need to keep your distance, I'm not going to tell you anything about my life, we want to live life with you guys. And so that's why we want to help people be able to accomplish their goals, their dreams, and you shouldn't have to worry about your knee or your ankle. And let's get it to where it's not even a thought, and and get you doing the things that you want to do instead of the cruddy things that you have to do because you're hurting or whatever. Yeah,
right.
No, 100%. And like, it truly works. Like I said, I started in 8th grade. I played basketball, volleyball, and track. I was the libero and the point guard, and I went to state in the 300 hurdles with this knee pain, and I just battled through it. And wish I would have known about you sooner, because if it would have been this simple, I'd have done this a long darn time ago.
That's awesome.
Well, and Cydnee, I want to thank you for stepping up and talking to Emma about this, because honestly, I think the conversation that you two had probably started this whole ball rolling to get us to talking to Guy about the team. And it really did help us with that conversation. There's more rodeo athletes that have old injuries that they're coming into this program with. And so I'm very thankful that you guys were able to talk about it, and thankful for Guy for being open to something that
outside of the box.
I'm thankful I may have possibly influenced an opportunity, but I'm also thankful that you guys advanced on that opportunity, because like I said, I was battling a mind block, and my biggest irritation, and she can vouch for me on this because I would get so mad, was just the fact I couldn't do it. And I knew I could.
Knows the problem, but how do I fix it?
Yes, I knew I could. And I had tried multiple things. I had tried ice, I had tried heat, I had tried soaking, I had tried a brace, I had being more physical, being less physical, doing this, doing that, and I could not find an answer. And that is what irritated me. And she can vouch for me huge on that. And like I said, if it had been this simple, I'd have done it a long time ago.
But I think, and this is just the mom watching, that these workouts have helped more than just her keeping her horse up in the corner. She doesn't throw like a girl as bad. She used to rope like a girl. And don't get me wrong, she still swings like a girl every now and then. But I feel like she has more power. So if she'll keep her workouts and start throwing that rope like a guy and not roping like a girl.
Let's see you swing a rope right now.
I don't rope.
You do too.
Not
you do
well.
rope.
Not very well. You just do that. I'll breed the mares.
I help with that too.
Well, you're just really handy, aren't you?
Versatile. That's
You're
what we
invaluable. Invaluable.
She is. She is.
She always likes to say, because when we go into breeding season, she's like, it's so hard to find good help. So she's like, well, if I can't find good help, I'll just make it.
I think that's the other goal of these programs too, though, is treating the whole person and not just the injured area. I mean, we really try to look at like your event as a whole and what's going to make you successful in that event, but also make sure that we address whatever issue that you're having, so the rest of it will flow together. And so that's really great to hear that you're already seeing that, because that is the goal. That is the goal, to make you a better roper, not just help you get over your knee pain and help you ride confidently and be strong for your horse and be able to put the cues on them like you know you can do. And just, you're right. I mean, as a header, like, you set up everything from the nod of your head. I mean, half the time my healer didn't even know we were up. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Just give me a haze. You always knew they were gonna be there, but
right. Yeah. Whenever somebody always asks, they go, "What's the hardest part of team roping?" I go, "Being the header." And everybody's like, "What? No way!" Because they always think heeling's harder because you got to be there to haze, you got to be there in the timing, you got to be there in the corner. And yes, that is difficult. But when you think about it, you're the header, you're the one who backs into the box, you're the one with the barrier, you're the one who nods, you're the one who has to make sure you get a legal head catch. I'm not whining, I'm elaborating.
Hey, it's normal for team ropers to whine, right? Like,
right. Hey, it's not our fault. It just happens.
And the healers get all the glory, period. So
right.
Hey, they are the ones that finish the run. It can't come together without them.
Yeah, exactly. If you know, you know.
Yeah. We all got to work together.
Yes.
Right. Well, I give Destry all the credit on being able to help you throw like a guy and not a girl, because
don't rope like a girl.
He's the wizard. He was the wizard in coming up with those programs for each of the disciplines. And
that's awesome.
I think that's what, kind of the teamwork makes the dream work, I mean, Destry and I together, I think, provide a lot of really great insight for the different events, the different things that, from the pain management side of things to the performance side of things, it works well. We work well together, and it was a really fun afternoon working with you athletes. It was we had a blast. So it was great.
Good. That's awesome.
All right. Any closing thoughts you guys have that we kind of covered a lot of ground here.
We did.
And you're probably stuck with me. It's all I'm going to say is it's going to be, I'm going to have another issue, I'm sure, here before long. And I probably just need to put you on retainer if that's.
There we go. We'll do it.
We can.
Just be prepared. That's all I can say. Just be prepared. for anything, literally anything.
Okay.
It's usually always fun. I mean, we're gonna have fun while we're doing it.
And you
so.
may also wonder, how the hell did you manage this? But it all works out in the end, I promise.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Favorite part is hearing the story of how it happened.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Well, this one time.
Yeah. No, it's all worth it. Like, to anybody wondering about it, you really got to figure out how bad you want it. And once you figure out that you do want it, you need to go get it. And yes, the workouts take a lot of self-commitment, but you have the support when you need it. And not everything's for the faint of heart. Like, I came back and was like, hey, Mom, Dad, you got to try this. And it was the forward leaning one hand thingy
Core.
The core deal works your upper core.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and they were not fans. They were not fans. And I've got to do 5 reps for 5 breaths. So
Yeah, that one looks really easy.
oh, it looks so easy.
Yeah, it looks simple, and then you do it and you're like, oh. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what you're whining about. This is, oh my God.
Yeah. She's like, okay, watch this.
Yeah,
and then
like,
she was like,
I got this.
how long do we have to do? How long do we
Okay.
hold this?
Yeah, no, I'm out. But yeah, I'll find something else to have fixed or worked on, or the core issue after my back issue. Obviously, that was the first thing I couldn't sit up with help, let alone using my core when my back was bothering me. So I'm gonna have to start backwards a little bit, but that's all right. I'll get there. We'll build. And I had told you in the beginning, my core, I feel like my core is my weakest thing. And like a wizard, all of a sudden I had this awesome core workout.
Yeah.
It wasn't awesome. Well, it's awesome, but it's not very fun. Awesome. It's not,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it awesome, but
It comes
Yes.
back, how bad do you want it?
that's, yeah.
How bad do you want
I
it?
hate it when you sit next to me and you say stuff like that.
Perfect.
That was
Well,
very
thank you guys so much for letting us laugh tonight and seeing the dynamic between you two. You can tell that you guys have a special bond. So it's
bet.
awesome. It is
We
awesome.
feel each other like fire and gasoline sometimes, but it's fun. You never know what's gonna happen.
Sometimes I shake my head and say, who raised this girl?
And she goes, oh wait, that's mine.
Whoops.
That's my fault.
Yeah, oh well, can't blame nobody else.
All right. So you guys have a Facebook page for Tien Quarter Horses. Where do they find you if they want to look up your studs, those kinds of things? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
We're on Facebook and teenquarterhorses.net. You can find us there. All the stallions have their own Facebook page as well. Contact me, my husband, all the info's on there.
Yep.
We appreciate you guys having us.
We're online at Tien Quarter Horses, TIEN quarterhorses.com.
.net.
Net.
Is this your first time?
Hey, calm rolls off the tongue.
First timer. Get it right.
Yeah, it is my first podcast. Not my fault. I wasn't on the WRA podcast too.
All right. It'll be the first of many.
Yeah, ready or not. Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you guys, and have a great night. And Destry, you're my closer.
That's right. Well, thank you again, ladies, for coming on here. We love hearing your stories and talking about your horses. Definitely look them up at Tien Quarter Horses and get on their books to get a mare bred, get a great colt for your program. They take a lot of pride in what they do. So, as always, let your health be the pivot point to your success.